It's Thursday, the 12th of August, 2021. In this evening's show, we're delighted to be joined by Ben Price from the Cardiff City podcast, A View from the Ninian. Ben will be giving us the lowdown on what to expect from the Bluebirds as Bloomfield Road hosts its first championship match for 7 years this Saturday. I'm John Aspinall. This is the Seasiders podcast match preview show. Blackpool versus Cardiff City. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast match preview show. Welcome to everybody on the stream. Welcome on the audio pod. And welcome to anybody listening in the Principality. And one of those Principalitiettes, whatever you want to call yourselves, is Ben Price. Welcome, Ben. Ben is from View from the Ninian podcast on blog. Thanks for joining us, Ben.
No problem.
Also on the pod this evening for his, he had a great debut last week, so he's back for more. Connor, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me again.
How's your week been with the move? You fully settled in now?
Fully settled in. All the boxes are empty. You know, I'm no longer living in an obstacle course, which is great. And, you know, went to pick up the season tickets earlier in the week, you know, kind of we're well and truly good to go now.
Good to hear it. And as ever is Tim. Tim, you're sporting a haircut there, I think.
Yeah, well, after all your comments about what Owen had said, I decided it's time to get the locks chopped off. So it's my holiday haircut anyway.
Right, okay. Ben, for reference, our hated former owner, Owen Oyston, wants to compliment Tim on his hair. So that's what that's all about anyway. So since we said that, he's had his haircut anyway. Right. Anyway, everybody, as I said on the stream, thanks for coming in this evening. Great if any Cardiff fans are on. Please do get your comments in and we'll address them as the show goes on. Right, so let's get going. Let's get chatting to Ben. So, Ben, just tell us a bit about yourself, the View from the Ninian podcast, and how you got involved in it.
Yeah, View from the Ninian's been going for, I think, 10 years this year, I think Ben James said the other day. I got involved 2 years ago, sort of got it going again. It sort of stopped for a little bit with the hiatus, but the website was going. And it's just been carnage ever since. So, yeah.
Yeah, we did actually speak to, you've been going a similar time to us, View from the Ninian. And yeah, I remember speaking back in 2010, that kind of period in time that you may not want to go on about, but we'll be just mentioning that ever so shortly. We did notice you've got a good... You've got a good folk song on your introduction, haven't you? It's quite
I don't know who came up with that. It's been around. I remember listening to it years ago, sort of when I was a listener, not on the pod, and really liked the intro. When we started up again, we didn't have the intro because Ben thought he'd lost the music, and luckily he found it, and we sort of did a rejig of the format of the podcast and relaunched with that, and it was nice to be part of it with that song. It's cool.
Is it the original track then, or has it been remixed since?
It's the original track. Ben found it and it'll go in. So yeah, it was nice. It's a bit of a classic hit with some fans.
It's very original, isn't it? The former Blackpool Gazette reporter is a folk singer, so maybe we'll post that to his ear, see what he thinks of it. Right, so Ben, last time our paths were crossing, a chap called Vincent Tan had taken over Cardiff City, a Bond villain-esque character. So, A, how are you getting on with him? And B, have things settled down since the whole furore over the redness, the red kits, and changing the stadium and all that?
Yeah, to be fair, after he changed everything back, he's been pretty much good as gold. He's converting a lot of his shares and like the debts and stuff into shares, so the club will be debt free over time. Obviously, all of his money's tied up in entertainment and sort of hospitality, so that's taken a bit of a hit over the last 18 months. So that sort of slowed down a bit, but no, they can't fault the bloke. He's been really good. He tends to stay away now, to be honest. Sort of when we went back to Blue, he came for a few games, but he's got a lot going on apparently in Malaysia, so he sort of apparently watches every game on a stream. Never shares a link, which I think's harsh. But yeah, he's been pretty good.
He never what?
never shares a link on the forums for all the streams he's got, which I think is harsh for the lads that can't make it to the games.
Right, okay.
But yeah, he's been good. It's Mehmet Darman, the chairman, we're sort of worried about at the moment.
It's who?
Mehmet Darman, our current chairman. He was linked with taking over Charlton 12 months ago while still being chairman, and his deal fell through. So he was going to be the owner of Charlton while still chairman of Cardiff. And he always seems to pop up and say not quite what we don't want to hear, but sort of you wouldn't trust him as far as you could throw him. He's one of those sort of characters.
There's no conflicts of interest there, of course, is there, being chairman of one club whilst trying to buy another?
Exactly. It's something that was a worry for us. And yeah.
Was this all done kind of on the down low without people knowing about it? Or was
it was pretty out there. It was on BBC. Mehmet Darman's linked with part of a consortium to take over Charlton Athletic. It was, pretty widespread. He even commented on it. It's sort of one of those, and the deal fell through for whatever reason, and he just continued as chairman of Cardiff, which is not even in the top 10 strangest things that happens to our club, to be honest, which is a worry. But
you can be sure that the EFL will consider it quite fit and proper.
Oh yeah, the fit and proper test is, as you guys clearly know, is fit for purpose, and there's no issues with it whatsoever. So it's fine. I'm not panicking at all that he's going to leave us in the lurch at some stage.
Do I detect a hint of sarcasm?
No, don't do that.
So Ben, how long have you supported Cardiff for, and why are you a Cardiff fan?
Well, God, I think my first game was 2002. I can't remember who it was against. I was 11, but I remember it being a 0-0 draw on a Tuesday night that my uncle took me to. And yeah, since then I've been hooked.
Do you know that was against? Can you remember?
I can't remember. I've got the program somewhere, but I sort of went to a few. I think it was Halifax, but I'm not 100% sure. It's sort of, when you're 11, sort of attention span wasn't quite there. So sort of was more interested in running around with other kids who had a ball. I remember playing football at the back more than actually watching the game. But I sort of remember walking onto the Bob Bank and being really excited and then learning lots of new words.
Yeah. I think my first game was 0-0 against Gillingham. And I also remember just playing Army on the Cop. I was like 7 or 8.
Another 0-0.
Yeah. I remember being so bored at my 0-0.
I think it kind of put us off alive.
I think my first game was a 0-0 as well. I remember being so bored they actually got out and just started trading Pokemon cards with my mate halfway through the game because the game was just so dull. Thankfully, my attention to football has gone a little bit more passionate since then.
But worth it if you got a Charizard out of it. So
completely, day made.
Is that Pokemon in a circle kind of chat? Is it?
Pokemon, not Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Come on, get
That's
with
a
it.
very different game.
Yeah.
I played Championship Manager in my spent you.
I think it's just different vintages, John.
That's right. Sort of a medium vintage.
It was my kids who are into Pokemon, not me.
What's that say? Tim, like what's
What is it? What?
I don't know what that means.
What's the Charizard?
Is that a Pokemon card?
Yeah.
There we go.
It's the final evolution of Charmander.
We'll put a little explainer in the patrons chat.
Yeah, we need
the podcast.
We do need a few notes to the accounts here, don't we?
Right, as we know nothing about this topic, let's move back on to the football chat. So Ben, it'd be remiss of us not to mention 2010. Were you there?
I wasn't. I couldn't get it off work. I worked for Morrison's at the time on the checkouts. They promised me the day off, then said I couldn't have the day off, so I couldn't go. Then promised me I could finish my shift so I could get back time at home to watch the game. It was 10 minutes till kickoff. They weren't letting me off the till, and I got off and walked off and quit my job that day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then we lost.
That's well done. I like that story. It was a shame you lost, but it was one of the greatest days in Blackpool's history and one of the greatest games in our lives. I think Tim, wasn't it? Or Connor, go on.
Did they give you your job back out of sympathy?
No, I didn't want it.
Fair enough.
They were an awful company to work for.
I've once worked for Morrison's as well. Stacking shelves.
I think you can console yourself by the fact that going to Wembley and losing, as we have done, not often, but we have, is a rather dispiriting experience. So you probably saved yourself a lot of heartache.
Well, the only time I've been to Wembley with Cardiff was for the FA Cup semi-final where we beat Barnsley. I was ill, so couldn't go to the FA Cup final.
Oh.
We lost the FA Cup final. And the League Cup final, I just moved back home from Australia and I was completely skint after going away for 9 months traveling, so I couldn't go to that. So, the one time I've been, we won. I should be there. The club should give me free tickets from now on any time we make it because I'm clearly the good luck charm.
Yeah, at least you've got 100% record.
I think we're going to have to coin a new phrase on this podcast. That's doing the price, because we have an expression called doing a Smith, which is to miss goals. But you seem to be slightly more unfortunate and miss every time your club gets to Wembley. So I think
it's been one of those.
Doing a price now. We're going to call it.
Yeah, we're doing a price. Yeah.
It'll always come at the right time.
Hopefully, our seasons will end and we'll be playing each other in the playoff final. That'll be a turn up for the Bucks, won't it?
I can't do that again, boys. I can't. It's Cardiff. I can't do that again.
Well, you'd have to do a price and just miss the game there if you couldn't face it. Youngbrush says, best kit of all time, that one, Connor. Is that a current kit or is that a classic kit?
It's a classic kit.
Oh, yes.
I'm following the latest trend of lots of young people wearing kits they're far too young to remember.
1990, 95, 96, that one, I believe, isn't it?
There you go. Season I was born, kind of that's a nice little reason I can use in the future.
Yeah, I'm wearing a 93 retro shirt as well.
Were you born before that was?
I was born, yeah. So it wasn't just only just. I was thinking it's 2 or 3.
People with beards, it's hard to peg their ages, isn't it? You don't want to offend people, but a lot of you youngsters out there tend to sport beards. So generally, Rebecca's Jewelers.
Billy Bingham's wife, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was actually the sponsor. Ben was Billy Bingham's wife. Do you remember Billy Bingham? He was the Northern Ireland manager. Maybe that's for those of a certain vintage. But the original sponsor's name had Rebecca's Jewelers Preston on it, and there was an outrage. It's like having Swansea on your
that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that was that. Next question. So let's just one before we go into the team itself. Do you prefer Ninian Park, or is it called the City of Cardiff Stadium, or has it got a sponsor?
Cardiff City Stadium.
Cardiff City Stadium.
Yeah, it's difficult. I've been to the Cardiff City Stadium more because I got to an age then when we moved there. I got the last year of Ninian Park. I got to quite a few games, but before that, I lived in Brecon, which is about 40 miles away, which is like mid Wales, which is literally nothing around there. Getting to Cardiff's an absolute nightmare when you're 15, 16. So I couldn't really go to every game. So I've been to more. I've probably got more of an affinity with the Cardiff City Stadium than I have Ninian Park. But I think from what I remember, Ninian Park, the atmosphere of the games I went to, Ninian Park was special. But I think at the moment CCS edges it for me. Just we've had some unbelievable memories there while I've been going. It's been quite a lucky stadium for us, to be honest.
I don't know about you two, but the word I'd use to describe Ninian Park on the 2 times I've been is scary.
It was one of those stadiums I never ever went to. I don't know why. And I've been to probably 75 of the current ones.
You didn't go to Bristol City either this weekend, did you, Tim? That must be something about that kind of area, the southwest.
I've been before though, John. That was why.
You've not been to Ninian Park, have you?
No.
Connor, have you?
This year?
I've never been to Ninian Park. I find Wales in general scary. There's too many L's, too many Y's. I don't understand what's going on.
So the game I went to was, I think it might have been the last season of Ninian Park, and you had Trevor Sinclair playing for yourselves, and obviously
that'd be the year
career at Blackpool, and he scored. Was it the year before?
Yeah,
and we were in the away end, and it was behind the goal. And there was like kind of a no man's land separating the home from the away fans. Pretty intimidating. And Trevor scored and he didn't celebrate. And it was one of the first kind of times that I saw a player not celebrate because it was against his former club. And that's Trevor now on the phone saying,
"Yes, sorry,
can I come on the podcast?"
I have no idea who that is. Oh, go away. Sorry, guys, I thought my phone was on. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
It's normally me. You're right, Ben.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, don't worry about it. There's normally bings and bongs going off all over the place. In fact, I'll turn WhatsApp off. Okay, Ben. So you're now managed by Mick McCarthy, and A, do you like him as a manager, and B, what style of football is he playing? Because I know he's been quite successful, hasn't he, the back end of last year?
Yeah, it was very good when he was on a 6-month contract, and then the reports came out that his agent played a blinder. Reports came out that Celtic were making a move for him because they were so impressed with what he's done at Cardiff. As soon as that came out, handed a 2-year deal, and results nosedived since then, which is just sod's law, isn't it? It was always going to happen, but yeah, it's difficult. He's very similar to Warnock. We thought we'd get a very similar sort of thing to Warnock, whereas the fans took to Warnock instantly. We absolutely adored him. Found the bloke was fantastic. It's been a bit slow in Mick. I don't think he was everyone's preferred choice, but when Warnock came in, he was like the number one choice for every fan. Everyone wanted Warnock to come in. So it's been difficult for Mick. No fans as well, but it's not the most exciting and interesting of football at times. I went to the first friendly with fans back at the Cardiff City Stadium, and it was, first 60 seconds, the ball didn't touch the floor once. It was just one of those, and you sort of knew what was coming then. It's difficult to watch. I think we've done the Warnock ball. We got a bit tired of it. Neil Harris came in, tried to change it up, and it didn't really work. And there are times when McCarthy plays some good football. We play some nice stuff. He's changed the system. We look a lot more solid, and sort of when the wing backs are on it and sort of getting up the pitch, we can play some nice stuff. But a lot of the time, if we don't know what to do, if we're not looking to play it, it is very, very Route 1.
Okay, I'm just going to hand you over to Connor now, because Connor's done a bit of research. He's done some extensive notes.
You're bigging me up now, and I'll try and meet the pressure. I just know, I mean, it seemed like the style is reasonably effective. In terms of, even if it's not pretty to watch, that's my sense at least. I'm not sure if you agree. Do you reckon you're going to be able to replicate it this season? I'm aware you lost quite a few lone players last season, some of whom had a big impact, and you've mostly kind of replaced them with, championship players who may or may not have been the same quality. Do you think that style is going to be repeatable, sales effective, or you're going to have to change it up a bit?
I think you lose a player of, I think the big one's Harry Wilson. You lose a player of Harry Wilson's quality, you're never going to quite be the same team. His distribution, his set pieces for a team like us is massively important. So taking him out the side is difficult. You also lose a fair bit of pace when you lose someone like Shea Ojo. Junior Hoylett left the club, although he didn't really feature under McCarthy. I think we've sort of gone a bit narrower. We're not playing as wide with the wide players, with the playing wing backs with two sort of supporting the main striker. Earlier last season, when it was most effective, the players were getting out wide down the wings and sort of crossing the balls in. So far this season, it's almost been playing with two number 10s, and Bakuna's one of those who I don't think sort of the more advanced position favours him compared to someone like I said, Harry Wilson. We can do it. We've got the players there. We've still got a fair few to come back. Kiefer Moore's not quite fit yet. We've got a really exciting young prospect called Ruben Colwell, who went to the Euros with the Wales squad to come in and really get a run of games, who I think the club are hoping will fill the void of Harry Wilson, which is big pressure for a young lad to fill. But I don't think the quality is quite there with this squad as it was last year, purely because we lost so many players on loan.
Excellent. And you mentioned a couple of names there, most notably, Kiefer Moore, not quite up to full fitness after the Euros. How do you reckon Cardiff will line up against us, and who are the danger men to look out for? Will Kiefer Moore be able to play? Is he the man? Can you give us your thoughts?
If Kiefer's fit, Kiefer's obviously our danger man. The bloke's been unbelievable since he came into the club. He's our first player to score 20 goals in a season since Peter Whittingham in 2010. That sort of shows you, despite having players like Jay Bothroyd, Michael Chopra, even Craig Bellamy, that's how sort of underperforming our strikers have done over the last 11 years now. He's the first player to do that, and he's been an absolute asset. If we keep hold of him, we're going to have a much better season if we don't. But if he's not fit, you're looking at someone like James Collins coming in, picked up from Luton on a free transfer, probably the most similar player we could get on a free to Kiefer.
This is your lineup, Ben, that you've sent me earlier in the day.
Yeah, this is what I'm hoping we'll go with.
Do you want to talk us through this? This is your 11 that you want to start the next game that you think is going to win the game? Your kind of best 11?
I don't know if it's our best 11. It's the 11 I think McCarthy will go with if all players are fit.
Okay.
We've got Mark Mcginnis, who's come in from Arsenal, that was a high prospect, played at Ipswich last year, who would probably fill in for Nelson, but he's injured. He's out of the game. So I'm looking at that. Perry NG sort of came in from League One, played with Crewe last year. Started brilliantly, to be fair. Towards the end of the season, I think he got a bit tired and sort of leggy, and hasn't quite. We're 2 games in, I'm saying he hasn't quite hit the heights. Like, it's start of the season.
I thought that was a typo, actually, there, Ben. I thought that was a typo. Is that his surname? NG?
Yeah, Perry NG. Yeah. Parents' favourite kid. If he's your kid's favourite player, he'd be ideal at 50p a letter.
So what kind of danger men are we looking at? Is that Jacob Murphy or Josh Murphy?
Josh Murphy.
Right. Is he the one? Because we had one of those. I think we had Jacob Murphy's twin. I think that's Josh Murphy, isn't it?
Yeah. Josh.
Like
Mr. Inconsistent on his day, fantastic and worth every penny of the £11 million we spent on him in the Premier League. If he's not on form, then it's an absolute nightmare, and he's sort of really, really struggles and just goes missing for 90 minutes. He's you know how every club has those players that you're sort of saying, if he comes good, if he comes good and gets a good run of form or gets a good run of games, he'll come good. Murphy's replaced Kenneth Sahor for us with that. There's talent there, and you're just waiting for him to exploit it. If he can, and he sort of gets the right manager behind him, he'll be a will beater, and he will be Premier League quality.
Is McCarthy that manager?
It seems to be. He's got a very good relationship with McCarthy and TC, Mick McCarthy's assistant. They've really sort of bigged him up and sort of got him a lot more football than he was playing under Harris. And he looked good at times to start with. He kept Harry Wilson out of the squad for the first few games under McCarthy, and and earned it as well. He was in the squad on merit. So if he's fit and rearing, he'll be a danger man because he's quick. Colwell's a bit of an unknown, sort of. He's young, he's very raw, and sort of that's very difficult for defenders to defend against. He's someone that sort of your more established defenders. I'd imagine he'd be up against Keogh quite a lot if Keogh's playing, because he would just be a nightmare for him to defend against. And then you've got Rawls and Pack are very classy midfielders. Rawls especially is really coming to his own. Fantastic, can pick out a pass, great on set pieces. I love the guy, longest established player at Cardiff. I absolutely love him. And then you've got a solid back three there. Curtis Nelson, Sean Morrison, Aidan Flint, big lads, strong. Nelson and Morrison, decent on the ball. Flint, just an absolute warrior. And then Joel Bagan, another youngster that's come from our academy, being given the number 3 shirt this year after Joe Bennett left. The club are really high on him, and he's a very good wing back when he's sort of given a chance. But there is mistakes in him. That's probably the one area your club will look to exploit is down that side. He got caught out against Barnsley, sort of out of position, came very narrow, left a big channel for the Barnsley player to run into and just tuck it away on Saturday. So, yeah, there's probably where the weakness is, but he's still a good player. It's not a bad squad at all. It's sort of when you go through that and on the bench that we lack a bit of depth.
Yeah, excellent. Well, note that down and send that over to Coach Critchley. Tell him to get Josh Bowler on the right, looking at him all night long, and hopefully he'll pay off. We know he's an avid listener of the pod, so
he's just said thanks.
He's also asking, can we ask our esteemed guest who's injured for Saturday? Need to plan my selection around it.
Who is? Mcginnis and Kieran Brown are the only 2 that I know are injured. I think Rawls picked up a knock against Barnsley, but I think he's okay. The rest is just a match fit.
In all seriousness, Ben, we do seem to, as a club, really analyse our opposition and set up a team to hopefully to counter whatever they've got. So it can be frustrating sometimes, but it has proved quite effective over the period that Critchley's been in, as obviously you saw last year. So whilst we've got our little joker on here, it's a point well made. Actually, we do. You'll probably find that we'll look at the way you play and adapt accordingly.
Yeah, I think especially away from home, if you can come away from here with a point, newly promoted side, I think you'd both be buzzing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. So, Ben, do you know much about Blackpool's team and manager?
I know you've got the goal machine, Gary Medine.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We're coming on to that next, and we've got a feature called They Played for Both. So get your thinking caps on, listeners. So, Connor, have you just got anything more for Ben before we move on?
Yeah, I think just, we'll move on to, I guess, look in our crystal balls and make end of season predictions. Where do you reckon that Cardiff will end up this season? We've made our guesses as a Blackpool, for all teams in the Championship, but I'm sure you've spent a lot of time answering that question yourself.
I think we're one of probably 10 teams in the Championship that will either finish, that are looking to finish playoff, but could quite easily finish 16th, 17th. It's sort of one of those seasons for us. We did a prediction podcast last week, and I was in a bit of a bad mood, wasn't happy, in a bit of a grump, and I predicted us to finish 12th, and I got a bit of flack for that. But yeah, I'll go for a plucky 8th. That's sort of our favourite thing on the podcast at the moment is Cardiff City finishing a plucky 8th.
Just miss out on the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're nearly as negative as the rest of us, aren't you?
You're not negative. You had Blackpool finishing, was it 11?
Well,
12?
no, but I'm talking about the rest of you. Like the 16th and 17th that we saw.
Where did you remember where we had Cardiff? I did have this graphic. I think we all.
I had Cardiff 8th as well, so I was right. Is what I'm taking from this. The expert agrees with me.
I think Adam was. I think Cardiff about 12th. Where did you have Blackpool then? Or what was the general consensus?
Me and Tom both predicted you both to go down.
We're quite happy with that though, because
no pressure.
We want to go under the radar.
Where's the eject button?
There you go. He's muted for 10 seconds.
Put him in the sin bin.
Yeah, in the sin bin. Yeah, I think we're going to surprise a lot of teams this season, Ben. Of the prediction shows I've listened to and watched, the vast majority of us have us going down. So you're not alone in there. But I think,
like you said, you're the unknown quantity. Literally, no offense to the boys, but I didn't watch much of you last year. I watched a lot of football last year, but truthfully, I didn't watch much League One.
Well, you wouldn't know, would you? Yeah.
No one really knows what to expect from you, so that's probably quite a nice thing. The Championship's so open this year, I think, in all areas that you could quite easily surprise everyone going on a run and get the playoffs, or you could finish bottom. It's one of those leagues. I don't think, other than probably the top 3 or 4, it's very tight. If a bad run and you're right in the mix, it's not going to be a stupidly high runaway sort of season with the playoffs. It's not going to be clear until the last day who's going to make the playoffs, I don't think.
Yeah. I think the Championship's a lot more interesting this year. If you look down to League One, there's a lot of high spending clubs in League One. You've got Ipswich, you've got new owners, multi-millionaires, billionaires. They're throwing money at the club. There's some big clubs down there. We're so glad we've got out of League One, because I think I'll speak for myself here, but yeah, I think the Championship does look very open, doesn't it? There's not a lot of money being thrown around like there has in previous years.
No, I don't think really anyone spent stupid money other than Fulham, and they've sort of backhanders and dodgy FFP rules have sort of got away with spending all that money till next year.
Yeah. Trying to keep Silver happy so his head doesn't get turned again. Yeah, there's actually a really good article, a guy called Andy Watson, who's a Rovers fan, so I'm not going to give him too much publicity. He put out today comparing the spending to previous years, and as we've all said, it's way down. So if people want to hear more about that, they'll check out that article as well. I'll put a link to it in the Patreon chat after this.
I think FFP might be busted if you sign Gareth Bale. Was there any truth in that, or any realism in Gareth Bale coming to Cardiff?
I think so many people are blinded to the fact 10 years ago we signed Bellamy on loan from Man City. People forget that. As people say, like Cardiff fans get very excited with that and sort of think, oh, he's coming home. What they didn't realise was that I don't think some people understood quite how betting markets worked. They'd see the odds were shortening on Gareth Bale, or put a bet on Gareth Bale coming to Cardiff, and in turn we're shortening the odds again. I think that's the sole reason Gareth Bale was like there to be a favourite to come to Cardiff. Like, we have no money. We are skint. We've not spent a penny on transfers. We're properly skint. So I think did a chat with someone, said, like, if he's willing to take $5,000 a week pay, then he can come in. But I don't think that's sort of viable this year.
Considering he was going to be on 500,000 a week in China, maybe it's unrealistic.
I mean, just going back to Connor's comment, I mean, I think it's probably a good thing that this spending's stopping, because the Championship is the division where clubs lose the most money because they're chasing this, this Xanadu of getting into the Premier League, and the reality is that the clubs can't afford it. They're paying more than their total gross revenue on wages before they even start looking at their other expenditure. And it is, if you look, a lot of us listen to the Price of Football, Kieran Maguire's podcast, and the figures that come out on there are absolutely ridiculous. And it's not just the likes of QPR and Fulham; it's the whole shebang. I think there's about 2 clubs who got something to break even in the Championship. In the last couple of years, one of those being Brentford, I think, who ironically have managed to get themselves in the Premier League. So
I think Barnsley were the other who, again, have succeeded really well. You don't have to spend lots of money if you're a well-run club.
Yeah. And so I'm actually glad to hear that clubs are reining it in, because the wages being paid is absolutely ridiculous. Listen, at the end of the day, it's wages, isn't it, not transfer fees? That's the real issue, and I think there needs to be a little bit of realignment, really, a little bit of common sense applied by everybody. But it's always going to be a problem when you've got this parachute payment stuff coming in, which is distorting the market. I
was just going to ask Ben that. Are you still in receipt of Premier League parachute payments?
No, our parachute payments stopped this year because we only did 1 year in the Premier League. So you only get, I think it's if you stay longer than 1 season in the Premier League, you get 4 years worth of parachute payments. If you come down after 1, you only get 3. And then the year that you miss out on gets distributed between the other 24 clubs, or between the other 23 clubs. So, it's that's sort of part of the reason this whole COVID situation couldn't come at a worse time for Cardiff. Vincent Tan, to be fair to him, still pumping in close to close to £3 million a month for us to break even.
Jeez.
There's serious financial issues. There's long-standing issues with debt with former owners, which I'm sure you guys can appreciate. Sam Haman is just like the turd that won't flush. The bloke just will not go away. And when you think he's gone, he pops back up, making a bigger mess. Why
is he still hanging around?
No one knows.
Does he own the land or something?
He was part of the stadium deal years ago. He sort of, some dodgy dealings. Risdale sort of dealings with Sam Haman and sort of come back and bit the club on the arse a bit. He was the invisible man behind a group called Langston that the club owed serious money to, that took out loans at ridiculous interest rates that Tans had to pay back. As part of the settlement then, the club offered Sam Haman a life presidency and said, look, we'll pay you back this and we'll offer you life presidency. Sam Haman's now come back and trying to get paid for that life presidency, saying it's a position that should be worth £5 million or something like that. It's ridiculous. The bloke's just an absolute idiot with awful, awful eyebrows that needs to get in the bin.
Was it Sam Haman who made players eat sheep testicles before they signed? Okay, great.
I was about to say, it sounds like the kind of gig that David Cameron would go after. Anyone? A bit highbrow for listeners and viewers of this show.
just a modest £7 million, John, wasn't it?
Right, back on track. So let's do match predictions for the game. Let's go around the room. Connor.
I'm going to go away and predict a good 1-1 draw.
What did you say last week? What did you say last week, by the way?
I said 1-1, and then I changed it to 2-1 because I didn't want to, go with what everyone else was saying. But this week I'm sticking to my guns and I'm saying 1-1. We'll probably get a good goal, try and defend it, not quite defend it. You know, I don't know, maybe we'll concede the last minute equaliser this time.
Yep, I stuck with my guns and predicted 1-1, so I'm 1 for 1, no pun intended. Tim, over to you.
I'm troubled because I don't know whether to actually say what I think or whether to deliberately predict a loss so that hopefully we win. I do think we're going to win on Saturday, actually, but I don't want to curse us. So,
well, you've said it now, so if we do lose, we're all blaming you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Tracy and say 3-1 to Blackpool.
3-1. I'm going for 2-1 as well. I'm agreeing with Steve. Watching Youngbrush says 3-2. As Tim said, Tracy said 3-1. So Ben, over to you with your casting vote.
I think we're gonna. Does Gary Medine start for you boys at the moment, or does he make the bench?
He's out with a groin injury. His new
not good enough.
Oh, we'll keep a clean sheet then, because if he was fit, he's guaranteed to score past us. But to be honest, even with the groin injury, stick him on, he's probably going to score. It's just the way the world works, isn't it?
You paid a lot of money for the goal machine, didn't you? It was a fairly hefty price tag.
£4 million. Not a single goal, one missed penalty against Wolves that ended his Cardiff career. I felt sorry, to be honest, Gary Medine, I feel sorry for the bloke. He wasn't as bad as people made out. He was never going to work in the system under Warnock. We just needed another striker at the time, and he seemed like a good fit. But poor bugger. And then have you lads heard about the Gary Medine Fight Club?
He gets up to a lot of things in Blackpool, so this doesn't surprise me. But go on.
So
we're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah. There's absolutely no way this is true. So there was a forum. Cardiff City forums are renowned for posting the most wild batshit stories out of nowhere that people claim and like swear are true. So this one came out not long after Medine was due to depart. He kept on, apparently, allegedly is the key word here to stop you getting sued. Allegedly, it's something I use a lot. Allegedly, he was on Chippy Lane, famous street in Cardiff full of chip shops, offering people money to fight him because he got a sexual gratification from it. And apparently he kept on getting arrested for this, and that's why he was suspended by the club, and that's why he never played, and that's why the club were going to get rid of him. There's not a chance that's true. Not a chance at all. But this bloke swore down for months that this was true. And from there, Gary Medine's Fight Club has become something of sort of like a Cardiff City folklore on Twitter.
Well, he hangs around in the Armfield a bit, doesn't he? So maybe we'll get the lads to ask him, or set one up in the basement of the Armfield Club, perhaps, Tim.
Get a boxing ring up there.
Just go in and give him a punch, see if he likes it, you know.
He sneaks off.
Just joking aside, Ben, Gary Medine was kind of pivotal to our upturning fortunes last season. We had a shocking start to the season. We won 1 in 10. We looked pretty certain we were going to go down, and we switched to a 4-4-2 with Gary Medine up there playing the number 10, and then he was holding the ball up, scoring goals, just brushing people aside. And he was a revelation, Tim, wasn't he? When he came to the side.
Yeah, I made a flippant comment before, but the reality is he did become a little bit of a cult hero as well, didn't he? Because he obviously the reputation that you referenced, there's similar stories emerge up here. Again, whether they're true or not is another matter. But he wears his heart on his sleeve, I think, when he plays, and you can see that he puts it all in, and he was quite a good pivot for our side, I thought, where we knew when we needed to, and we sort of developed our play a bit more since under Critchley, and perhaps slightly moved away from him being plan A to plan B. But we could play the ball up to him, and he would hold it. He would hold it up intelligently, and until he got injured around Jan or February, he was quite an important player for us. Less so after that because he just basically didn't play.
He was destined. Unfortunately, it was a move that was destined to fail for Gary at Cardiff, and it's funny as it is sort of take the mick and sort of say, oh, he does this, he does that. It's generally good that he's gone to a club he's appreciated because he worked hard. I can't fault the bloke's work ethic. He was a real tryer. It just never got going for Cardiff and was never going to. So it's nice to see he's doing well. And hopefully
Cool.
he has a good season.
Right, Ben, just before we let you go, we do a couple of very quick features. The first one's head-to-head. So Blackpool have played, the two clubs have played each other 71 times. So I want you to guess who's won the most.
I don't think we've got a great record against you lads. I'm going to go with you boys.
Come on then, give us some numbers. How many do you think?
Is it 71 times we've played?
71, yeah. Give us one lost and drawn.
Quick maths.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right, approximate it then.
30. Yeah, I'd say you've probably won 30, drawn 12, and however many then Cardiff have won the rest.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yep.
Nearly. Good guess.
You weren't
Played
far off
71.
there, were you?
Yeah. Blackpool have won 34, drawn 20, lost 17. I was really surprised when I saw this.
Now, I know we've had a terrible record. It was better after sort of 2010. We seem to have the players seemed to want to get one over on you then, and it helped that you were terrible for 2 years as well. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Just for those of a certain vintage, in 1978, you were involved in the conspiracy that saw Blackpool relegated to Division 3 for the first time, allegedly.
He's not going to know about that, Tim, is he? That comes from
I know. But we finished our season, Ben, quite a few games earlier than the rest of the teams, which obviously isn't allowed anymore. And the results that played out from there contrived to relegate us. And I think the last game that had to finish 0-0 between Orient and Cardiff surprisingly finished 0-0 with
80 minutes. The team just passing it around the defence.
Basically doing a Germany-Austria from 1982 in the World Cup when they did the similar thing just to make sure they both got through. I'm sure it's Cardiff and Orient was the last one, but it needed a certain set of results, and everyone had to go against Blackpool, and they did. And it wasn't just one; it was about 8 results that saw us relegated. And I think we ended up with about 4 points less than the team who finished 8th. So it was a really weird division.
That's like the year Cardiff
2010's good.
Lost out on the first division title on goal difference because we scored on, and a couple of years after that, we were relegated from the first division because we drew near enough every game. It's those sort of anomalies happen. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe 2010 was revenge then for that event.
We'll let you have
Cardiff. Yeah, Cardiff's last game of the season, 77-78, caused the rift between them and Blackpool. Why is that?
That's the same. That's alluding to the same issue.
That was our listener's question that came in. Didn't get many. Right. So just before we let you go, Ben, they played for both. A bit of fun. This is to the viewers on YouTube as well and on Facebook. Get your players in who've played for both clubs. Tim and I have been talking off air, haven't we, Tim? Came up with a bit of a list.
Well, I was a bit concerned about we're meant to get some professionally put together notes by our accredited journalist, and his contribution to this section was abysmal.
Minimal.
And Gregson's come up with a classic one that I picked up on, which is Leslie Leah.
Who?
Leslie Leah, who actually played 160 times for Blackpool in the 60s, and then moved to Cardiff and he played 76 for them. But I'd never heard of him before tonight, so there you go. It's quite a lot of games for Blackpool not to have heard of somebody.
It is. Neil Matthews, who remembers him? Again, for those of a certain vintage. Yeah. Billy Ronson, for those of a certain vintage. Gary Medine.
Goal machine.
Now, yeah, Ben, a legend for you derived, what's the word?
Despised.
To describe Michael Chopra.
We were quite excited when he signed because we thought he was going to be a good player, and he was absolutely abysmal, wasn't he?
Cardiff don't do a lot right with transfers of getting rid of players at the right time, but one we got rid of at the right time was Michael Chopra, because he went to Ipswich and did nothing there, and then went to you guys I think from you, then he went to India, then Alloa Athletic, didn't he?
Yeah, he joined the Kerala Blasters.
That was it.
It's
Yeah,
a great name for a club.
Knowledge.
he's a lovely bloke, Go Chops. I've got to say, he's done a lot with the podcast with us, and he is a lovely bloke.
So come on, Ben. Which manager has managed you and us?
Ooh,
Did he manage there though? Yes, he did, didn't he?
He did.
Probably
Yeah.
it's probably a bit before your time.
Yeah, it is definitely before your time. And we've also had a player. You've also had a player that's managed us.
nah, you got me on these.
Yeah. It's an age thing, I think. Billy Eyre is the manager who's managed us both. It was 1990 to 94 with us, and then it was 2000 with you, just before your time. I think you said 2002. Did you start?
Yeah.
So just before then. Billy's a bit of a legend at Blackpool because he really wore his heart on his sleeve, and he got treated quite abysmally by the club after he'd done a really good job. And Jimmy Mullen is the Cardiff player who managed Blackpool as well.
That's a name.
Dekel Keenan. Do you remember him, Ben?
Yeah, we interviewed Deckel on our podcast. Again, lovely man. Yeah, he got really harshly treated by our club at a time where quite a few players did by a racist, sexist Scotsman who shall go nameless.
Right.
But Deckel Keenan did. He was a solid player for us. What was he like for you guys?
I think his debut was Chelsea away when we lost 6-0, and that kind of defined
liked him though. At Liverpool, we won at Liverpool, and he played in that game. He was bloody brilliant.
He was there 6 months with you, wasn't he? Because we picked him up from you.
I was quite disappointed when he left, to be honest. But I thought he was a good squad player, better than others we had. Although we had some quite good defenders, didn't we? If you look at who we had and over the course of that season between Baptiste and Cathcart, who obviously went on to have a really good career with Watford and Everton and etc. So I can sort of maybe understand why we let him go. A couple of others I've picked up on: Liam Feeney, who I haven't seen mentioned in the chat. Liam Feeney played for both. 69 for us, 19. I think he was only on loan with you. And George, another one before your time, George Wood, who was a stalwart for Blackpool in goals in the 70s, played about 100 odd times for us, and then he played 67 for you. He also played at Everton and Arsenal, so he had quite a good career, did George, Scottish keeper. He sort of booked the trend of actually being able to save a shot, I think, was the... I think that's probably... They're all mine, I think. I think everybody else has picked all the others up.
Rob Earnshaw.
I actually saw Rob Earnshaw's only game for us. I think he only came on for a few minutes at Bolton away, didn't he?
What's Earnshaw? You got? I can't remember that.
He came and he went as quickly as he came. It was a weird one because when we signed him, I thought, that'll do us. But it's when we're in free fall after.
Didn't even play him though, did they?
He made one appearance against Bolton Wanderers in a 1-0 defeat. Came on as a substitute.
Don't even touch the ball.
Are you sure it's a 1-0 defeat? Did we not? Is that not the game where Barcusen played right back and scored an absolute screamer at Bolton? I thought it was that game. Maybe I was at a different year, but I thought it was that one.
I'm going off Wikipedia here, and it's a 1-0 defeat.
Oh, right, you're ahead of me.
I believe Wikipedia above you, Tim. So
my memory's not the best.
I'm saying nothing. Right. I think we've exhausted all they played for both. So we're just going to do some Blackpool news and a few other bits that you'll find quite boring, Ben. So we'll let you go and we'll just say thanks a lot for coming on this evening. It's been great to have you on.
Nice and cheers, lads. Really enjoyed it.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, best of luck for Saturday. Best of luck for the season, but obviously not for Saturday. And,
are you coming up? We didn't ask you. Are you coming up for Saturday?
I'm not. I'm playing football for my local side this weekend. So yeah, it was on the list, but sort of just didn't happen in the end. Just our life's got at the moment. It's one of those. So yeah, I'm going to play.
Good. That means we're going to win.
Yeah, that means
can't make it. We're going to win.
Yeah, the curse of Ben, the curse of Price.
Right, cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, boys. All the best.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks a lot, mate. Bye. Whoops, that's a bit of a crappy view. Oh, good information, that wasn't it? Nice little chat. Right, fellas, let's talk about our 11 quickly. We'll have to do this quick. So, based on what we've seen last night, how do you think we're going to line up tomorrow? Saturday. Connor, let's come to you. You can pick the formation for the team to win the game against Cardiff.
I reckon it's going to be a 4-4-2. It seems like that is very much what Critch is sticking with. It seems like it's a system he's got a lot of faith in. I think we've got the personnel to really make it work. Despite our belief he should play free at the back last time, he elected not to listen to us, got a decent result. So I'm sure he'll stick to the 4, But what does he know, really?
The fool. The poor fool. Right, let's go around the team then. So does this pick itself? Tim, right back.
I think Connolly's nailed on. Even though I think all of us think he's better at centre-back, the reality is he's hit the post and scored a goal in 2 games. So I don't see him that issue changing.
And I think he looks uncomfortable as a right back, but he's doing the job. I think he had most interceptions in the team against Middlesbrough. He's certainly doing the defensive work as well.
So he's nailed on. Connor, so who's your right centre back? How big Marv has he played himself into the game yesterday? He was doing these normal last ditch tackles where you think he's going to lose it.
I think he has probably. This Cardiff City side are really good at set pieces. I think they scored the most from set pieces last season, and they scored one against Barnsley in their last league game. So I'd just like Big Marv in there, more as a big physical presence to try and win those aerial duels. And I think he played well enough against Borough to earn that spot, really. And considering that Keogh also made what I think was the main error for the goal Bristol City scored against us last time as well. I think I would pick Marvin there.
He's rather prosaic, isn't he, Keogh? He's like,
hang on.
Just get it out, and it's a bit industrial, isn't it? It's sort of
is prosaic posh for slow?
I was going to say to him, what the fuck does that mean?
Workmanlike, I would say.
You know what Prozac means?
Prosaic. It's like when you get poetry where it's a little bit industrial, it's a little bit. It doesn't flow.
Every day is a school day on the Seasiders podcast. Every day is a school day. Right, Spud makes it in to our right centre back berth. Connor, who makes it on the left side?
I think clearly James' husband. He's clearly trusted by Critchley, and I thought he was our best player against Bristol. I think it probably just goes, Shane Lavery obviously captures all the attention and plaudits, but I think Husband's been incredibly dependable in that left centre-back role and see no reason to change it up.
Tim, left back?
Garbutt every day of the week.
Oh. Right, how are we lining up in this midfield? Is it just a flat 4, or are we going to turn it into a diamond?
I think it's going to be 2 sat deep and 2 further forward, but it's not like that. Like
it's a diamond option on here,
like a kind of 4-2-2-2.
He could play it like this, but depending on what. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's more like. I think that's more like what we're going to see, isn't it?
So we having in there. Is Kenny?
Although
back in the
team? we shouldn't, but we'll come to that in a bit.
Is Kenny back in the team then, Tim? In yours?
Now starting the reason he gets taken off at half time is because he's playing on Saturday.
He makes it.
I'm slightly troubled by the 2 things. One is the lack of blonde hair because he doesn't. I kept thinking, who's that on the ball? And the other thing is, and it's just something I noticed. It's just an observation. When he played for Australia, he was called Kenneth Dougal, and I noticed on Tuesday night he was Kenneth Dougal. So I'm wondering whether he's pulling the old Andy Cole to Andrew Cole bit. I don't know. We'll have to see. But he was on the team sheet, and the Blackpool team sheet is Kenneth Dougal on Tuesday night. So watch this space.
He wins us one, playoff final, and gets all hoity-toity, starts using full Christian names.
He's now
Unacceptable.
What does the word Tim? What does the word tenuous mean? Is that the right word to use to describe this little segment?
Well, just complete. Whimsical, I think was my expression before.
For more of a sort of a
watch out, people.
Description of it.
He's Kenneth now, not Kenny.
What's the sort of word that you can use to describe wasting people's time?
Was that me?
Bollocks.
Let's move on from this bollocks and decide who we're playing with Kenny Dougal. I'll suggest Grant Ward. Anyone got a problem with that?
No, definitely.
While I'm typing, Connor, you talk us through this throng of three midfielders.
So Lionel Keshi, I've taken to calling him after that wonderful goal against Borough. I think he'll obviously be on the left. I think Bowler has done more than enough to cement a place above CJ Hamilton on the right, mainly because I think just CJ, as much as it pains me to say it, hasn't done the family Hamilton name a lot of good. I think he's been a little bit off the pace, so I wouldn't be surprised. I would quite like Bowler to have his shot up the right wing there.
I have to agree, Tim, with that.
To be honest, I think he's made himself undroppable, if that's a word. I think it is. Do you know what? He reminds me of a young Wes Houlihan when he first joined us from Livingston. He's maybe not quite the finished article. He's shooting his. I think he needs to get to the fairground and shoot some of them ducks or something, because when he gets in the box, he's a bit wayward, isn't he? But incredible feat and incredibly exciting to watch. And he's probably, between him and Lavery, they're the two players that are exciting me the most this season. And I watched it. I was there on Wednesday last night. I was just going to say Tuesday night, then Wednesday night, and I was just enjoyed watching him play football so much. It was just incredible, and it was just like watching Wes when he first came. And hopefully, he's going to turn into the player that Wes was for us.
I've always maintained that, Tim. So just to kind of agree with what you're saying there, Wes Houlihan is the player I was always happy to pay a ticket and go and watch, just to watch him play. And I think we've not really had a player like that since then. So it's a bold statement, and it's a very.
And I might end up flat on my face in a few weeks with him because he doesn't perform. But that's what he looked like on Tuesday night, particularly. Obviously, we saw a cameo at Ashton Gate, didn't we? And that was exciting, and it was influential, and he took the game to them, and he was attacking players, and he set up the goal. I mean, what more can you do in 15 minutes? But in when you watched him play 90 minutes, he pretty much did it for the full 90. And the only downside of his game, and listen, if he was perfect, he wouldn't be joining us in the first place anyway, would he? When he got in the box, he just seemed to, his radar went off when he got in the box. If he was shooting himself, don't think we have that problem when he's passing it, and that's something obviously he can work on. But yeah, I think he's an incredible prospect, and to sign him for free is wow.
And to that point, Tim, I think that kind of composure and decision making in the final third, that can be easily improved with coaching and game time if he's receptive to it. So I'm really optimistic, like you, that he can crack on and really cement that spot in the squad if he learns fast enough.
But if he doesn't start on Saturday, you got to think, what was he got to do to get a start? Because he was outstanding. Outstanding.
So this attacking midfield role, we're calling this a number 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't do that personally. I think most of us know what we think we want to see, but will he do it? I mean, I actually thought Sonny Carey did it. Again, a lad who's come from Kings Lynn, not played much football yet. I thought he had an incredible game on Tuesday night. Very assured. You never looked at him and thought he was out of place. And I don't think he has done enough to get a start. My issue is, do you try and change the system, which obviously would mean tweaking what I think will probably happen, because I think this system is what will happen. But do you change the system to play Lavery with Yates up front? I would, because I just think those two together are going to be a
Should we change this to a
real
4-4-2 then?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Critchley's going to do it, but I don't know. Could anybody else here seriously suggest that Lavery shouldn't start on Saturday?
No, it's got to be a
Absolutely should
4-4-2
start.
with Lavery and Yates.
It is.
And Jesus, if you're, as I think we talked about in the on the Monday night pod, if you're a defender against those two, you're never going to have, you're not going to have a quiet time at all, are you? You're going to hate it because they're going to be right in your face.
Here we go, listeners, viewers. Live interactive tweeting. Here's the winning side. Cardiff was picked. Moi, Tim, and Connor get a tenner on it. Boom, away it goes.
There we go.
Phil and Bisons will probably be slagging it off. Oh, it's not even put the picture up. That's rubbish. Oh well, I'll tweet it out properly after this. Right, gents, we're on an hour. Very quickly, let's talk about the Middlesbrough game last night. A destruction of the borough. It was like dismantling the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge as was performed on Alvida's Pet Season 4. Or was it 5? Tenuous link there. Use
Another
that word again.
tenuous link.
Before my time.
You need to revisit it. It was good.
Yeah, great performance last night. Destroyed Middlesbrough, packed house. We're looking good, aren't we?
Packed a third house. I mean, I've got to say, with all the COVID stuff, I did wonder why they tried to pack everybody in the way they did. And this collecting your tickets from these booths is a nonsense. I don't suppose you're going to have the same issue in league games, are you? But you got this massive. When I walked past, there was like massive queues trying to queue up to get tickets that people already bought. I think we need to be a bit more clever about the way we do that. And you couldn't get a drink, you couldn't get anything to eat because everybody was packed into when they didn't need to be. No bottle bars open. But
Why have they done this then? Just to save stewarding costs?
I don't know, because there was like 6,000 there, wasn't there? So like, how many times have we been in the whole stadium with 6,000 in? I mean, it's maybe they didn't think as many were going to go. I don't know. But it was a bit. Well, I couldn't understand. I mean, we were trying to get a beer at half time, and you just couldn't get one. We gave up in the end. So, how many other people gave up and didn't buy anything? And the bottle bars that are there are unmanned. It was just
Lost revenue. It's lost revenue, Tim. Maybe
Massive,
penny wise,
massive
pound
lost
fool.
revenue.
Penny.
Got to get a
Pennywise,
letter
pound
into Simon
foolish.
and Ben.
Yeah, because you know, obviously are they trying to save money on stewarding, but have they lost more than they've saved by not making bottle bars available and having too many people crammed in? What were you saying, Connor? Sorry.
It's just, so we've got to write a letter to Simon and Ben and, make sure it gets fixed for the next time, point out the business opportunity they're missing.
It's constructive criticism because I was with Ashley and Ashley was really taking photographs of it. Well, not what he's done with it was put it out anyway. But it was ridiculous. Was that, if you walk down 2 minutes before half time and you actually give up trying to get a drink because there's no chance you're going to get one before the start of the second half, that's not right, is it? And you've got the bottle bars in front of you, which are a very, very quick way of getting things out, and they're short, and it's like, why? To be honest, I was joking saying I'd have like a mobile pie vendor that you could go to, just like if you want a £2 pie, here you go, because you're having people queue up and it's just too much. It's I think the big problem is the South has the better infrastructure for that, doesn't it? And and that was shut, so that it's it's got the and you've got the ability to use the bar area. Well, you did originally have the bar area behind it as well. So I think we need to look at that, and I'm sure they will do it when time comes. But I think cramming everything in was great for the atmosphere. Got to say, great for the atmosphere.
And it was also good to watch the game back on Tangerine TV. £2 a month, and you can watch the entire game back the day after, which is great. That was
Yeah.
Found out it worked past the work firewalls today. That was an afternoon well spent.
Obviously, I was working from home today and may have had it on my second monitor whilst I was still working.
Some of us actually had to work, unfortunately. But I will watch it.
Well, you're your own boss, though, aren't you, Tim?
Yeah, but that means you have to work harder, not less harder.
Oh, yeah. Right. So let's just very quickly talk about the game. So we're looking to be sold out North Stand on Saturday. 13,000 perhaps in Bloomfield Road. What a game it's going to be. I cannot wait. All my family's coming over, and I'm really, really looking forward to the game.
Yep. Me mum, my dad, probably my nan. We're all going.
We're going to start singing that song then.
Absolutely. You may even bring the bag of Vindaloo.
Me, dad, and me, we're off to Bloomfield Road.
It's my birthday, so we better win anyway.
Is it? On Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, right. What you doing pre-match?
Probably it might have a quick libation in the thatched house, I think.
Can't let that go. Right, everybody. So it's Tim's birthday. Go on.
Is that why you picked the 3-1 scoreline to commemorate your 31st birthday?
31st, that's it. Well spotted, Connor.
Connor's hankering after a place in the executive box as well. Good one, a man after my own heart. Right, I think we'll leave it there, gents. We're on 1 hour 7. This is absolutely flown by. I've tried to keep it under an hour, but yeah, it was great to have Ben on, and we've got such a good game to look forward to. As MB's just said, the atmosphere is going to be ridiculous. It certainly is. Steve just said we need a Tim Fielding chant in the stadium for his birthday.
I'll email them now and see if we can get it announced before the game.
Actually, Connor, do it. No, seriously, do it.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, tasking you with that. Right. Right, anyway, so yeah, we'll come back with a match reaction show. We've not decided when we're going to do it, have we, Tim? But as it's your birthday, maybe not straight after the game.
And I'm away after on Sunday, so I may have to dip out of one for next week. So
okay, just watch our socials, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll announce it on there when we're going to be doing it. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Connor. Thanks for all the stats and the Cardiff info. Great to have a non-accredited person on air doing a fantastic job.
I'll get there one day. I'm sure Sean's been a great role model and mentor so far.
Anyway, can we just make a point that he's taken this over, he's meant to be running it, and he's like, is it 3 strikes and you're out? Because he's missed the first 2.
Played 2, postponed 2.
As your own boss, Tim, I hope you'd recognise the art of delegation.
Right, thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for listening to the audio. We'll speak to you on the next show. Up the pool.
Up the pool.